And now I will invite Dr. Raju Bhatt.
Respected chair, co-chair, my fellow speakers, dignitaries in front of the dais, foreign scholars from all over the world and from India, ladies and gentlemen, my friends, a good afternoon to all of you. I know after a very good lunch you all will be feeling sleepy, but I won't take much of your time and will try to make my presentation as simple as possible and interesting. I will be speaking on holistic approach through integrative system of holistic healthcare for universal wellness. My paper is a bit lengthy, but I will try to skip some portion, and most of the thing I have tried to represent in the form of pictures, so you can see the slides. This is the format of my presentation. Normally I start my presentations with some of my favorite quotes, but because of shortage of time, I may not explain in detail, but I think all of you know the meaning of these quotes, and we have been listening since morning different quotes. Sharir Madhyam Khalu Dharm Sadhanam, Dharma Arth Kam Moksha Arogya Mulmatnam, Dharmeno Hino Pashu Samana. So these are some of my favorite quotes which I normally use, and the objective of today's presentation is to explicate holistic approach through integrative system of holistic healthcare for universal wellness, which is of great importance. And this involves consideration of health and hygiene and system of medicine if health goes wrongs. Recognition of health and hygiene, both individual as well as social, are hallmark of a civilized society, and they are essential for stability, all-round holistic personality development and self-realization. Though hygiene is of external, health is internal, both physical as well as mental, internal value, and hygiene is external value, but a symbiosis of the two is essential for physical, mental, and spiritual enhancement. Health is dependent on hygiene, and the two go together. And only in a healthy body resides a healthy mind, and when the mind is healthy, the spirit is pure, unpolluted, and blissful. It is very much pertinent to cite here the WHO definition of health, which is a state of physical, mental, social, and spiritual well-being. You see that the WHO has combined like important elements in the definition of health. I will be explaining few more terms also, but before that, we'll see that from where the word, the notion of health has originated. So the health is derived from Middle English word health, and the meaning of health or is whole or wholeness or being whole or sound or well. It is also from the Indo-European root kailo, which means whole, intact, uninjured. It is the same root from where the other words like whole, wholesome, hale, holy have originated. So to be sound in turn is to be free from defect, decay, or damage, or to be free from disease or abnormality or of illness. Now, if you take the meaning of holistic, holistic is used as an adjective, which means emphasizing the importance of whole and the interdependence of the parts. It concerned with the whole rather than analysis or separation into parts. So as an adjective, as a prefix, we use it for holistic medicine or holistic ecology or for other, like holistic approach. So the holistic medicine is noun, and which means that it is the medicine of or relating to the medical consideration of the complete person physically and psychologically in the treatment of disease. Thus, holistic medicine is an approach. I would like to emphasize here the word approach. It is holistic medicine is an approach to medical care that emphasizes the study of all aspects of personal health, including psychosocial, psychological, economic influences on health status. Thus, it is a comprehensive approach. WHO has given a definition of a holistic medicine as it is the term used to describe therapies that attempt to treat the patient as a whole person. That is, instead of treating an illness, holistic medicine looks at an individual's overall physical, mental, social, spiritual, emotional, and cultural well-being before recommending treatment. Thus, it has taken into consideration various components from the definition of health. I will not go into the history of holistic medicine, but history of holistic medicine is very old and it started from India and China, some say. So, the holistic system of medicine takes into consideration the complete person, both for promotion of health and disease prevention and cure. Complete person means the individual human being, his social and natural surroundings and cosmic coverings. Cosmic includes macro as well as micro environment. So, it is a comprehensive approach to healthcare and disease prevention. Preventive medicine not only deters disease, but also places greater emphasis on optimizing health and longevity of life. Health is not mere absence of disease. It is a positive state of physical, mental, intellectual, spiritual, social, and cosmic wellness. It takes into account balancing of body, mind, intellect, soul, and cosmos. To be healthy is to be in balance. To have balance is to be in order and help others to remain in order. Holistic approach is an approach which propagates the idea of healthy way of living, which truly means living in harmony with nature. It treats the symptoms of illness as well as looking for the underlying cause of illness. It also attempts to prevent illness by placing a greater emphasis on optimizing health. The body systems are seen as interdependent parts of the person's whole being. Its natural state is one of positive state in all dimensions. And an illness or disease is an imbalance in the body's system. Holistic therapies tend to emphasize ways to promote health, proper nutrition, and avoidance of substances that harms the body. I think there is some problem with this laptop. It is not giving some of my diagrams. But normally, if you see the approach to healthcare, we take, whenever we are diseased, we take medicines and we get cure, and again the disease is there. So, this is the wrong approach, because the curative approach is not wrong. We have to, look for the other, why the disease is there. So, disease, as I said earlier, it's not, health is not negation or absence of disease. It is more than that. It is a positive state of wellness, of being self-situated. And we normally don't talk about health of an individual, because the human being lives in a society or a community. So, if you see the spectrum of health, it varies from individual to community, from positive health to better health to free. Like on the top is the positive health, and on the bottom is death. In between, there are different stages like better health, freedom from sickness or not disease, unrecognized sickness or unwell, mild sickness, severe sickness, and the extreme, one other extreme is death. So, generally we are concerned with bodily suffering or some sort of bodily disease and go to a doctor or hospital to get cured. But not only body, but mind also gets disease, and so too feelings, emotions, etc. So, the realm of sickness is very vast. In fact, if you see this diagram, the sickness of body is only tip of iceberg, and the sickness of, and it is both versa. Sickness of body may lead to sickness of mind, and sickness of mind may lead to sickness of feelings and emotions, and it's other way around. So, it's a vicious circle. And what we see is just a tip of an iceberg. So, thus, health is not mere absence of disease, it is a positive state. And WHO in recent years has amplified to include the ability to lead a socially and economically productive life in the definition of health. Thus, health is a realization of balanced body, mental strength, positive creative thinking, pure consciousness, pure soul, and health is swast, it is our natural capacity, or it is our swabhav. By this we are always at ease. It implies that if our material intake is good and pure, then body remains balanced, mind remains in order, and soul is also self-situated. And if the body, mind and soul have to be at ease or in equilibrium to be healthy. Thus, healthiness is conducive to bring about understanding of our unfailing interconnectedness with our fellow beings, environment and planet Earth. Thus, health is our disease deterrent capacity or immunity. The sounder is the health, the stronger is the human. Negative thinking and feeling diminishes this immunity, whereas unbridledness of senses and ego weakens the power of preventing this disease or our immunity. Medicine is to be administered to one who invites element, and this inviting elements is very easy. Conversely, positive attitude and control of senses mean invitation to health, and it is very difficult, but it is not impossible. Health is more a prevention than a cure of disease. Now, the second component is integrative medicine. It is a system of integrative medicine based on the view that optimum health of individual and society can be obtained only when all aspects of individual and social determinants and dimensions are taken into account in a symbiotic manner. So, these are different determinants of health. Health have included the individual health, as well as health of the families, society and communities. So, there are different determinants, and these are different dimensions of health which we use. This means that healthfulness is an outcome of a dynamic interaction among our genetic, which is physical and physiological, mental, that means emotional and psychological, spiritual, socio-cultural and environmental factors. There are different healthcare sectors and health-related sectors which also influence health. I will not go into detail, but if you see, on one side are public healthcare sectors, on other side is private healthcare sectors, and there are few health-related sectors at the bottom. They are education and agriculture. They all influence healthcare. And out of these, if we say the 70 to 90% of all are curative healthcare, and the very less emphasis are given on other. So, if you see what is the health influence over the life course, as we grow, on the bottom, on the x-axis is the age of the individual. If you see, as the age increases in the early ages, on health, the influence of family, school is more. And as the person grows, the influence of individual, influence of the workplace and community starts increasing. And when we talk about the public health or the health of the community, the focus is also important. Like which level are we focusing on? So there are different levels, starting from the individual to the international level, or the delivery levels, like from a lower, village level worker to a tertiary care hospital. Thus, the practice of integrative medicine is characterized by diagnosis of core clinical imbalances that underlie the manifestation of disease, exposures and inputs, and these balances arise due to insufficiency or excess, or due to exposure to toxic influences, or due to infections or infestations, or due to lack of exercise of body as well as of mind, physical trauma, emotional trauma. So, the natural history of disease takes into account agent, host, environment, all the three, and if all the three are interacting, then only the the disease happens, or if you have to incorporate all these, and this can be done with the help of different levels of prevention. So, there are 5 levels of prevention. Starts from the health promotion, specific protection, early detection, limitation of disability to rehabilitation. So, if you see the spectrum of health, the integrated health system has got influence from the all throughout the spectrum of the health. I just shared you the spectrum of health from the dead to the positive health. So the education, integrated health system, they have got influence throughout the spectrum of the health. So many of the world healthcare system are holistic in nature, including the allopathy and include our indigenous system of medicine, that is Ayurveda. But that is not always the case. So here the term complementary medicine is being used, which refers to use of both allopathy and other system of medicine, that is Ayush. So my emphasis is all the pathies can be holistic if the approach is right, including the modern system of medicines. And the best example nowadays, it is gaining importance, and the best example for this is Center of Integrative Medicine, CIMR 8 AIMS. It was inaugurated by the present health minister in 2016. So you can go through, and this is the Apex Center. The All India Institute of Medical Sciences started this Center for Integrative Medicine and Research. And so the trend of holistic approach and integrative medicines is on the rise. I will not go into the shift. There are different components which now the allopathy system has incorporated. And straight away I will come to the conclusion that there is a need to understand the conception of health and healthcare afresh. More attention is to be paid to health promotion and disease prevention than to cure. It is much easy to invite disease, but it is very difficult to invite health. And for health promotion and disease prevention, integrated health approach is to be emphasized and popularized. Ultimately, of course, only the individual human is responsible for this, as he or she has to make the necessary adjustment to hygienic requirement, nutritious diet, and conducive lifestyle to achieve health. A doctor can only be a guide. So I would like to end my presentation with this prayer: Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve bhavantu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma pashyantu dukbhag bhavet. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. But this is not the end of my presentation. If the chair permits, I would like to take 2 more minutes to share one movie so that you all can be, some of you are feeling sleepy and last speaker is not there, so his representative is here. I will just take 2 minutes to share, you know the story of rabbit and turtle.
Once upon a time, a turtle and a rabbit had an argument about who was faster. They decided to settle the argument with a race. The turtle and the rabbit both agreed on a route and started off the race. The rabbit shot ahead and ran briskly for some time. Then, seeing he was far ahead of the turtle, he thought he'd sit under a tree for some time and relax before continuing the race. He sat under the tree and soon fell asleep. The turtle, plodding on, overtook him and soon finished the race, emerging as the undisputed champ. The rabbit woke up and realized that he'd lost the race. The moral of the story is that slow and steady wins the race. This is the version of the story that we've all grown up with. But our version of the story continues. The rabbit was disappointed at losing the race, and he did some thinking. He realized that he'd lost the race only because he had been overconfident, careless, and lax. If he had not taken things for granted, there's no way the turtle could have beaten him. So, he challenged the turtle to another race. The turtle agreed. This time, the rabbit went all out and ran without stopping from start to finish. He won by several miles. The moral of the story? Fast and consistent will always beat the slow and steady. It's good to be slow and steady, but it's better to be fast and reliable. But the story doesn't end here. The turtle did some thinking this time and realized that there's no way he can beat the rabbit in a race the way it was currently formatted. He thought for a while and then challenged the rabbit to another race, but on a slightly different route. The rabbit agreed. The turtle and rabbit started off. In keeping with his self-made commitment to be consistently fast, the rabbit took off and ran at top speed until he came to a broad river. The finishing line was a couple of kilometers on the other side of the river. The rabbit sat there, wondering what to do. In the meantime, the turtle trundled along, got into the river, swam to the opposite bank, continued walking, and finished the race. The moral of the story? First, identify your core competency, and then change the playing field to suit your core competency. The story still hasn't ended. The turtle and rabbit by this time had become pretty good friends, and they did some thinking together. Both realized that the last race could have been run much better. So, the turtle and rabbit decided to do the last race again, but to run as a team this time. They started off, and this time the rabbit carried the turtle till the riverbank. There, the turtle took over and swam across with the rabbit on his back. On the opposite bank, the rabbit again carried the turtle, and they reached the finishing line together. Both the turtle and rabbit felt a greater sense of satisfaction than they'd felt earlier. The moral of the story? It's good to be individually brilliant and to have strong core competencies. But unless you're able to work in a team and harness each other's core competencies, you'll always perform below par, because there will always be situations at which you'll do poorly and someone else does well.
So that is the importance of integration. Thank you very much.
And that is the holistic approach.
Yeah, that is the
Yeah?
holistic approach.
You have shown it. Thank you very much, Dr. Rajiv Bhatt. You have worked hard to make this PPT and given many informations to us. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, some of the pictures, like they were having animation, so which I could not play because of some, technical issue.
Yeah, right.
And I wanted to use the, power that pointer, but the presentation is in front of me.
Right. Okay, now I invite Sri Ram Tirtha. Actually, Dr. Radhakrishnan has to be here. He couldn't reach here, so Ram Tirtha, a young scholar and poet and son of Vasant Bhai. Grandson of Vasant Bhai, right. Sri Ram Tirtha. He will read out the paper of Dr. Radhakrishnan. Ram Tirtha. One is Ram Tirtha and the writer is Radha Krishna. All are gods. Right?
Actually, Dr. Bhatt, my grandfather used to share that story with us a lot when we were kids, and we've also heard many variations on his behalf. First off, on behalf of both the author and my master, Sri Dada Bhagwan, on behalf of Sri Jai Satchidanand Sangh, and on behalf of Holistic Science Research Center, we welcome once again all respected dignitaries and seekers to this divine campus developed for universal welfare, or Jagat Kalyan. It is my most humble pleasure to not only share the podium with such dignitaries, but to also present this marvelous paper prepared by my Carolan yet Gujarati uncle, Dr. Sri Radhakrishnan, President of the Holistic Science Charitable Research Foundation in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, USA. From the smallest microorganism to the largest living being, all life on Earth has a common ancestor. We have drifted further away from being in tune with nature, both externally and internally, as the need for more resources has changed our way of life and our expectations from life. In the process, we have willingly ignored our role and responsibilities to the environment and in turn our self-interest. From the human standpoint, the external world is a gross form or effect resulting from the subtle cause which are tied to perceptions and projections of the human mind. Mother Nature's work is to shift, to change, to remove from here, and to carry it somewhere else in constant motion. If we observe carefully, everything that happens in the external or internal world happens justly, but it is our egoistic belief that does not see it in this way. The natural laws that govern and sustain the entire universe are way beyond our rational thinking, but if we are sincere and open-minded to know the truth, it can be experienced in our own living body. Sri Dada Bhagwan has said that the human body is a universal laboratory, and our living is a live experiment that is going on within us. If we hold on to this golden rule and live, we are living naturally. There is nothing external which is not internal. The internal mind creates reason and meaning from each external situation in life. When we recognize the external situations as our own projections, background, and conditioning, we can see a higher vision that reveals the mind as a mechanical, programmed instrument. We can boldly declare, "Let the mind be, we don't mind." All scientific studies and evidence point to a rapid degradation of the environment. As humans, our ties to the environment are crucial and, in a sense, moral and spiritual. The conception of the environment in the Indian tradition has come from ancient times and has been cosmos-centric. Everything is related to everything, and creation and destruction take place simultaneously. Nature is the perfect recycle system. In this age of science and technology, an age where we have established links with the moon, sent shuttles to space, launched satellites past planets, and even claimed to have discovered a new planet, we should stop to think for a moment what links we have established with the living cosmos that is our very life source. Our ancients had a much subtler connection with the earth. They were truly green. It is time for us to revive these connections and restore the ecological balance. Natural living is the reverence to all living beings and oneness with nature. What is needed today is not an ad hoc response to the environmental crisis, but a holistic approach to life itself. Eternal law is the divine wisdom insofar as it directs and governs all the actions and movements of creatures. Dharma is another word for it in the Indian tradition, and justice is its treasured value. Natural law is the human participation in the internal law through our natural gift of knowing, reasoning, and discriminating what is in the best interest of humanity and what is detrimental. It is called natural because the obedience to it leads us towards the good that we desire by nature. Everything we project in the form of desires, likes, and dislikes are recoded in the subtle realms and never get destroyed and are rapidly in a befitting manner. Every thought, action, or feeling that emanates from us has to be viewed and judged in the light of this natural law. Everything that is subject to the change falls in the realm of natural law or prakriti. We humans have only the independent power of projection. The rest is done by nature, and therefore we need to be mindful of what we project in our own self-interests. Nature is impartial, and whatever has been projected is being purged to the mind, body, and speech instruments. The wonderful secret of the natural order in natural law was revealed to Sri Dada Bhagwan in 1958 during an intensive contemplative meditation when he earnestly dwelled into the very depth of his being to understand nature and how and why it functions as the way it does. After experiencing the enlightening revelation, which he declared to the world that an impartial, self-regulating power, which he termed Vyavasthit Shakti, governs and enables all laws of the world. It is this impartial, systematic power that keeps everything functioning in its own natural way. We humans mistakenly think that we are responsible doers, and in the process, we perpetuate the cycle of cause and effect. It is not an animate power controlled by an authority which we commonly refer to as God. Vyavasthit Shakti is the inherent power in nature charged by cosmic consciousness and controlled by time and the laws of karma, cause, and karma phal, effect. Dada Bhagwan also refers to this power as scientific circumstantial evidence, otherwise known as SCE. SCE is governed by principles like other scientific or natural laws that are rational and universally accepted. For example, the inherent nature of the stone causes it to fall due to gravity. Cause and effect are built in it and are functioning together. Circumstantial implies that there are many elements that need to come together for an event to occur. For example, time, location, the medium, the instrument. Dada Bhagwan gives the simple explanation of how various ingredients are needed to prepare just a small cup of tea. And it is vyavasthit that brings everything else together. The word evidence implies that we cannot pinpoint the exact cause and its effect. A good analog from the science of nutrition, where a number of factors that influence how our body reacts to the food we eat makes it difficult to identify a singular cause-effect relationship. Similarly, in nature, multiple permutations and combinations are going on in the minutest time interval that make it impossible for the human mind to decode the language of nature. Dada Bhagwan has brought out this simple yet profound universal law with numerous examples from daily living that everyone can understand. It does not negate the code of conduct in the religious scriptures or human laws. Instead, it is an all-inclusive and universal. It is the unchangeable law of nature. SCE, when understood and implemented properly, will take care of all human laws according to Dada Bhagwan, a fact borne out in the author's life. We begin a fresh life when we free ourselves from doership. We start to accept everything that is happening as correct and just, and learn to adjust to all circumstances without finding any faults. Through this understanding and a positive vision, we develop an obliging nature which will ultimately lead to perfect freedom even in this lifetime. Humans have their own dharma, which is grounded in 4 values brought together under the fold of purusharths, or aim of existence. These are dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, which denote the moral value, economic value, both wealth and material, vital value, physical, mental, and aesthetic desires, and spiritual values. Each has its own code and of conduct and is found in the Sanatan Dharma, a collection of teachings directly from the experience of Indian sages from the Vedic period. These are applicable universally and have been time-tested. Dharma is placed at a higher level than artha and kama, so that morality leads the physical and social man towards a higher goal. The 4th purusharth, moksha, liberation or self-realization, is the evolution of the spiritual man who has transcended his own physical, social, and moral self, or prakriti. It is the realization of one's own innermost self with the cosmic self, purush. According to this tradition, human life is deemed complete when all 4 aspects of life are fulfilled, with the increasing emphasis on higher values. Dharma is the ultimate law that keeps the mind, body, society, and everything in the external world in balance and in a state of perfect integration. It makes us feel that we are an integral, holistic personality, and life is nothing more than relating to everything in the external world of the name and form and our own individual needs. Sri Dada Bhagwan has given to the world the essence or code of conduct for humans in his divine priceless 9 diamonds, which has been translated not only in English, other Indian languages other than Gujarati, but also various European languages as well. Living sincerely by finding no fault in anything or anyone and accepting total responsibility for all our sufferings and happiness is the royal path to perfection. Natural living is only possible when we look at life from a holistic perspective. Right understanding and positive vision are twin foundations for a harmonious life. Dada Bhagwan says, "He alone is the Lord, or Bhagwan, who is the master of circumstances and ruler of impulses. Man is not punished for his sin, but mind you, by his sin. Mistakes arising out of doership and ownership by ego are to be lived out. The knower does not do, and the doer does not know. It is a beautiful way of saying that God is in everything." Jai Satchidanand.
And now the session is open for the discussion. Please, you may ask questions and queries.
I would like to thank all the scholars, those who have presented paper. 4 scholars. The first one, Professor G.D. Sumanapala from Sri Lanka. He has presented his paper on Ayurveda, Ayurvedic elements. One term I want to add. Actually, it is the Dhi, Dhruti and Prajna that is known as Prajna Paradha in Ayurveda, as mentioned in Charaka Samhita. Do you think that this aspect, Prajna Paradha, is treated as the same in Buddhist philosophy? Because you have quoted one verse from Dhammapada, "Arogya Paramalabha, Santutti Paramam Dhanam, Vissama Paramajati, Nibbanam Paramam Sukham." So I remember this verse from Dhammapada, and your concept from Charaka Samhita, that Prajna Paradha, and this concept, whether it is there in Buddhist philosophy or not. This is the first clarification from you. And the second paper, I would like to 1, 2, 3, 4. For the second paper, Victoria. She has presented her paper actually on that is the Pada Patha, Sangita Patha, and it is one clarification I would like to add here. It is Pratisakhya, not Pratisakhya, what you have shown in the PowerPoint presentation. And one more thing you have told, Aitariya Aranyaka constructs the Samhitas and Padapatha as respectively, that is Sangita Patha is uncreated, that is non-man-made, and which is man-made, that is the Padapatha. So being a researcher, being a scholar, what is your opinion between these two, Sangita Patha and Padapatha, if it is the same according to you, or you follow this Aitariya Aranyaka, what you have quoted in your presentation? So this is for you. And the third one, third scholar, he is Dr. Rajiv Bhatt. Yes, a good paper, of course. I appreciate your presentation system. And some of your Sanskrit text you have to rectify it, because some mistakes were there, because being a Sanskrit student, because basically I am a visiting professor of Sanskrit at Silpakan University, Bangkok now, but I have noticed so many mistakes there. But being a student of Sanskrit, so I think you have to rectify it in further presentation in future. And one more clarification I would like get it from you, that is on health. What is the base of your paper? The source of your paper. That you have not given the source. The text that you have taken all these things. And one more thing, whether traditional system of medicine or modern system of medicine, what is the holistic approach? Do you think that holistic approach lies in the traditional system of medicine or the modern system of medicine as present that we are going through? And the last one, last paper is, no clarification, it's good and very nice presentation with good examples. So I thank you all the scholars, and thank you.
Prajnaparada, not only Prajnaparada, Asatmendriyartha Sangyoga, Prajnaparada, both are included in Buddhism. because asatmyantre, it is the beginning, that is called sila. Sila means contact with the unsuitable objects through the senses, no? And the prajnaparada is, you know, in Angulimala Sutta it is called sanchicca pana, sanchicca, by knowing, but it is not called wisdom in Buddhism, it is not panya, but the knowledge. Knowingly, if we do anything, it is called prajnaparada. I think it is also included. I think that's all, no? Yeah.
I prefer to talk to you privately because the quality of sound is not good.
Okay,
so
okay. If you
I must tell that I have skipped a lot of my text
because I'm a student of Sanskrit as well as Vedic studies. Because I have some work on especially Veda. So you have quoted Etari Aranyaka.
I would be thankful.
That's why. Because that is a authentic text.
Yeah, because you know, I skipped some slides as well.
No. Actually, my question, okay, Etari Aranya quotes, we follow it because that is a text. We cannot deny. But the thing is, being a researcher, what is your personal opinion? I mean, what is your conclusion on this particular aspect as a scholar or a researcher? That I want to know from you. Thank you.
Okay. My opinion, you know, I am trying to understand, I am trying to interpret what texts say. And if I have an opinion which is opposite to the text, this opinion will not have a value. I think that it is a problem. So the problem was discussed, it was formulated and it was discussed, and the answer to this problem depends on the attitude, whether you prefer continuity and holistic approach or you prefer analytical approach. From the point of view of holistic vision of language, a holistic vision of everything, the continuity is primordial, it is substantial, it is uncreated, while discreteness, discontinuity is paurusheya, it is human-made, it is created, it is constructed. So, in my opinion, my choice is that both are very, very important because if we follow the Vedic model of ritual, we have this combination of continuity and discontinuity. In ritual itself, we know very well that the victim was divided into different parts before, and then there was a special ceremony to revive the victim, to give it a new life on the heaven. And this was, in my opinion, the way how we can re-establish the whole, we can re-establish the integrity on the level of ritual, on the, not in practical life, but symbolically in the ritual. So we believe that now in our samsaric life, we are wholes made of parts.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
But we are not a complete beings. We need something to complete ourselves. We need some things to we need some emotions, etc. Different things which are outside of us. We have to complete our life with outside things. But we are not the self-sufficient essences. So there is a chance for us to become self-sufficient essences if we understand our inner essence as a whole.
But in one line, because, you know.
Thank you for your comments. And about the first part about the mistakes, so the mistakes are because of the absence of some font, and the presentation was transferred from one computer to other computer. But before going to print, it will, I will try to give a PDF with all corrected, you know, that codes. About the second part, the sources. So once I will give a full paper for printing, and the references are there in the end, and some of the references are there as footnotes from where I have taken that content.
Right, sir.
About the third, My submission is, again, I will emphasize that all the healthcare systems can be can be holistic. It's not that this system is holistic, that system is holistic. Even the modern system of medicine is holistic. The approach should be holistic. There is no fault in the system. All the systems are equivalent and complementary. The problem is with the approach. So there is nothing like holistic medicine. All medicine, it is the approach, which is, so holistic approach is the right word, and I don't want to use holistic medicine, I want to use the complementary medicines or integrated medicine as the correct word. I think that's all.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr.
Yes,
Rajiv.
thank you, sir.
Thank you
Very much.
And in Delhi, we are there to help you, sir, in the font and typing of Sanskrit. Don't bother. Thank you very much. And now, any other person to ask? Yes, Harish Bhai. Harish Bhai will ask one question.
My question is to Ram. Ram, in the paper that you read very well what Radhakishan has written. My question is, in holistic way of looking at human existence, if we come out and say there is East and West, are they complementary to each other?
Most definitely.
Pardon?
Most definitely.
Most definitely. In what way you think they are complementary?
Well, so, my Sanskrit, I apologize, is not as developed as the dignitaries here on stage. But there is in Sanskrit, I know the English translation to this one mantra that Dr. J.P. Amin, he is a resident here at this marvelous campus. But this one says, the whole is all that, the whole is all this. But when the whole is taken from the whole, what remains is the whole. And so, in this, there is no East or West, because when everything is holistic, everything can be very much unanimous and coexistent at all times. From the mural that you see right here, you go from all the way from Ikshwaku all the way down, and you see all these faiths, you see all this. At the end, you have Rishabdev Bhagavan, and then below him, you have Dada Bhagavan. So, it's not only as Jesus to Muhammad ji, to all these other faiths have said, but in the end, the divine and the core principle of every religion will always remain the same, no matter what. And that's what's holistic, no?
Thank you, Ramtit. And as you said, translated, that is Purnamadaha, Purnamidam,
Yes.
Purnamudachyate.
Again, my Sanskrit is nowhere near yours.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So, Harish Bhai, it is okay. Any other question? So now I request our co-chair, Professor Pannir Selvam. Anyone? So, Professor Pannir Selvam, co-chair, I invite him for his comments.
Most revered and respected Professor S.R. Bhatt, and our chair here, and the speakers who made a beautiful presentation. I would like to make a few remarks focusing on the topic of this plenary session. The plenary session topic as well as the thematic theme was chosen by our Professor S.R. Bhatt. And for this plenary session, he has given a very beautiful title where we are talking about, perhaps you can remove this, we are talking about philosophy of living with nature. This is something very much important in the present context, or in the 21st century. This topic is very important because there is a need for understanding the life as a whole. In fact, all the speakers here have pointed out the relation or the interrelation that exists between the parts and the whole. In fact, in the West, in the hermeneutical tradition, it was Gadamer who said that whole cannot be understood without the parts, and the parts cannot be understood without the whole. But if you look at Indian philosophical tradition, it is very clearly stated long back, especially in the Upanishadic tradition, that there is an inseparability between the whole and the part. And the whole and part here reflects on the life that exists between the human beings and nature. In fact, in the West, we are talking about what we call the anthropocentric ethics, or we call it as human-centric ethics or man-centered ethics. But in our philosophical tradition, Indian philosophical tradition, it is stated that there is a connection, inner connection between human beings as well as nature. Even in literature, you can see that. For example, if you read Raghuamsa or Kumara Sambhava, where this interrelation between the human beings as well as nature is very much expressed. And similarly, if you go to the Vishishtadvaita tradition, where we come across three important realities, eternal realities: Chit, Achit and Brahman. Now this Achita, which is often translated as matter, has an inseparable relation with the Chit consciousness and with the Supreme, that is Brahman or Ishvara. So this means our Indian philosophical tradition has been emphasizing on the interrelation between human life as well as nature. In fact, in the West, we have one important thinker, some of you might know, Raimundo Panikkar, who talks about the cosmotheandric vision, where he could synthesize the world, human beings and God. So this, otherwise we call it in Ramanuja's perspective, we call it as organismic approach, where all the three are synthesized, which means we are in Indian philosophical tradition, we are talking about what we call the inclusiveness. Nothing exists outside. Everything is included in this whole. So the whole cannot be understood without the parts, and the parts cannot be understood with the parts. And also here I would like to state that in Asian philosophical tradition, especially I am very much connected with the Confucian tradition. In the Confucian tradition, as in the Indian philosophical tradition, the interrelation between the parts and the whole is very much emphasized. And not only that, in both the Confucian tradition as well as Indian philosophical tradition, there is a inseparable relation which they speak about, that is matter and spirit. In the Western tradition, these two are separated. That is the reason why thinkers like Derrida in the West argue that we have been philosophizing in the West, that is from Plato onwards up to Heidegger, we have been talking about either matter or spirit, thus focusing on one essential component. But if you look at Indian philosophical tradition, there is a synthesis between matter and spirit. This is something remarkable. So Indian philosophical tradition very clearly argues that how there should be what is called the ecocentric ethics, or what we call eco-consciousness. This is something very important in the present context, because we have been spoiling the nature. In fact, Dada Bhagavan very clearly says that we are the guest of nature. That means he says that we have to respect nature. We have to pray to nature, because we are the custodians of nature. This is what Dada Bhagavan has emphasized in all his writings. So the philosophy which our Dada Bhagavan has said is something which has a direct relevance to our practical life. In fact, I would like to conclude my brief remarks with these aspects. That is, I have evolved 4 important principles. I would like to read them. That is, the philosophy of living with nature is possible on these grounds. What are they? First one, the well-being and the flourishing of a human and non-human life on earth have value in themselves. So the human-centric ethics, or what we call the anthropocentric ethics, has to be changed. So it means human as well as non-human are very important. Then my second principle is these values are independent of the usefulness of non-human world for human purposes. Thirdly, I would like to state that richness and diversity of life forms contribute to the realization of these values. Then finally, human beings have no right to reduce this richness and diversity except to satisfy the vital needs. And this is what, according to me, our Dada Bhagavan has said, especially in the book Dialogue. So this focus is very much essential for the 21st century. So with this, I would like to conclude. Thank you very much for your patience.
Thanks a lot, sir. And at last but not least, our respected chair, Professor Shaku Goshen. Sir, I invite you for your special comments.
Today, thank you very much. Everybody, your very good wisdom. I lead. We are Indian or in Japan. For world peace, and I wish peace, and your congregation very succeed. I wish. Today, I am very just a moment. Today we are Happy New Year 2018. I am well-being. Is the first Professor Dr. Bart to receive very much. You will be meeting. I am very honest. I am plenary session. Plenary for your wonderful wisdom for 2018 formal beings. I am my teacher, Professor Hajime Nakamura. I am for you together, and we are Happy New Year, this world. I wish it. Thank you so very much. どうもありがとうございました。
Thank you very much, respected chair. And now the second plenary session is over. I would like to invite Mr. L.D. Patel to announce some other plenary sessions announcement. And after that we will have we have tea break. We will reassemble here, but parallel plenary sessions are there in the auditorium and hall for the other papers. One session will be here and two other parallel session will be there. Mr. L.D. Patel will announce, please.
So, two interesting announcements. After tea break, there will be 3 parallel sessions. I will announce the venues and speakers as well as chair. The parallel session 1A, it will be in the main hall, that is here. It will continue here. And session chair is Professor N.C. Panda, ICCR chair, visiting professor of Sanskrit Studies Center, Faculty of Archaeology from Bangkok. In this hall, there will be 3 speakers. Dr. Dilip Charan, Head of Philosophy Department, Gujarat University. Professor Dharam Singh from Patiala University, Punjab. Dr. Jagdish Patgiri from Cotton University, Assam. 3 topics respectively are holistic way of thinking and living is the imperative of Asian philosophy. Dr. Dharam Singh will speak on Dada Bhagwan and his holistic philosophy. And Dr. Jagdish Patgiri will speak on Gandhian economic philosophy and its global relevance. Then second parallel session will be in the auditorium of HSRC building on the ground floor. There, Chairman will be Govind Upadhyay, Professor Govind Upadhyay, Department of Philosophy and Psychology, Trichandra Campus, Tribhuvan University, Kathmandu. 3 speakers there will be Dr. Dilip Kumar Mohanta, University of Kolkata. His topic is Buddhism and the Principles of Good Governance. Second speaker will be Dr. Shivani Sharma, Punjab University, Chandigarh. Satvatu Sahradayata, Uncovering Holistic Foundations of Aesthetic Experience. And third speaker in auditorium will be Samaniji Hima Pragna. Now, the third parallel session will be in the same HSRC building itself on the first floor. Their chairman will be Professor R.C. Sinha from Patna University. The 3 speakers are Swami Sadashivananda from Swami Vivekananda Sivasrama, Madurai. His topic is the paradigm shift from Semitic religions to Vedic religion. Second speaker is Dr. Xavier P. Mao. He is from School of Humanities, Northeastern Hill University, Shillong. His topic is Economics versus Philosophy of Economics. Third speaker in that venue, first floor of HSRC auditorium, will be Dr. Satyamurthy, Associate Professor, Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. His topic is Education and Research in Indian Intellectual Tradition. Now, one more very interesting announcement I have to make. In this hall, after these sessions are over, that parallel sessions are over, we will again reassemble here in this hall, all of us together, for a session on flow of philosophical thoughts between India and Far Eastern countries. That will be very interesting session, and we have scholars from Far Eastern countries talking about this, how the India has affected those traditions. It will be chaired by Professor Bhatt, the sponsor, our co-sponsor from Sri Ramanuja Mission Trust. The Swamiji, Chaturvedi Swami, has not been able to personally come. He would like to talk on video also. If possible, I will try. So please don't miss this session. It's a very big intellectual feast, as my friend Bala Galtapati is naming it. So please, we are behind the time. In this, the last plenary session here will be at 7 o'clock, 7 to 9. Right, so I'll request the people from parallel plenary sessions to be finished their sessions by 6:45 latest, and we'll continue again, we'll reassemble here. Thank you very much, and please finish your tea breaks within 15 minutes. Thank you very much.